Let's dive into Daisy's training so that we can stay consistent at home. So, whenever she's offering behaviors that we want to keep on seeing, that could be being polite or just following our commands, we want to make sure that we're rewarding her with praise, petting, or treats. That way, she understands that we want to keep seeing those behaviors and she'll offer them more often. And then, on the other hand, if we're seeing behaviors like jumping on people or breaking our command, any unwanted behavior, we want to make sure that we're following through with our training equipment. That way, we can stay on top of those and we'll see them less in the future. So first, this is her prong collar. How you take it on and off is you'll secure one of these links by holding it still with your fingers and then lifting these two loops up right here. You'll grab those two loops, squeeze, and wiggle them through. To put it back, you'll line these two prongs back up with those two loops and then gently slide them back through. And then this collar will be the one that's the highest up on her neck, so right behind her ears. And let's say she's offering any of those unwanted behaviors. What we're going to do is we're going to mark that by saying no, and then following through with a prop of that prong collar. So no, pop, and then continuing on with whatever we're doing. And then right here is her remote collar. To turn it on and off, you'll see these two little red dots. There's one right there on the collar, and then a matching one on the remote. These act as like a magnet key, so you touch them together, and the collar will flash green. To turn on the remote, there's an L button on the back. You'll press and hold until that screen lights up blue, and it'll have her working level on there as well. And then how this works is very similar to the prong collar. So say she's offering that unwanted behavior like jumping on people, or if you have her on a command and she gets up before you release her, you'll say no to mark the incorrect behavior, and then follow through by pressing that black S button. So no, black S button, and then trying again. And then with any of her commands, if she does get up before we release her by saying free, we want to make sure that we're trying again until she gets it right. So if we have her in a sit and we go to open the door and she gets up before we tell her free, we put her back in that sit and then go to open the door again until she gets it right. So now we're going to go over some of her commands. So as I just mentioned, we have sit. Sit has an implied stay. Same with down, place, any of her commands. So as soon as we give her that command, she has to stay in that position until we tell her free or heel or move on to working on something else. But until we tell her what to do next, she has to stay in that position. So with sit, if we're approaching a door or a person and we have her in a sit, if for whatever reason she gets up, we got to put her back and try again until she gets it right. Same with down. Down has that implied stay. So as soon as we tell her down, she has to stay in that position until we release her. So even if she starts to wiggle a little bit, that's not allowed. We have to put her back in that spot and then try again until she gets it right. She has to stay in that one spot until we release her. And then place is a boundary stay. So how this one works is you'll have either a place bed or a dog bed, any kind of item that you want to have as that constant place command, working bed basically. And then you're going to introduce it to her at home by leading her over there, telling her place, showing her exactly that that is her new place command. And then this one's great for if you're having people coming over. That way, the only rules is she has to stay up there with all 4 feet and she can't offer any unwanted behaviors. So she's still not allowed to bark or anything like that. But she's able to be on that bed, wiggle a little bit, get used to, and experience everything that's going on around her. And then whenever we're ready to release her off of that place bed, we're going to go all the way back to her and then release her right next to her. And we just release her by saying free to move on. And then next we have recall or come uncalled. So whenever we're practicing this one, we want to have her on a super, super long leash. That way we have a way to reel her in like a fish if she decides she's not going to listen. And that way we can stay consistent with working on her training. And then, we're going to get her nice and distracted once she's out of our space, either just by sniffing a toy, chasing a treat, or even saying hi to a person. We're going to call her back to us nice and loudly by saying, come. And then as soon as she's in our space, we're going to have her sit. And then once she's in that sit, we're going to reward. And we want to make sure that with this command, we're rewarding every single time, even if we do have to reel her in just like a fish. That helps build that positive reward history, and she'll want to come back to us even more often. And then we also have that heel command. So heel is that nice loose leash walking position on our left-hand side. Whenever she's in that position, we want to make sure that we're rewarding her with treats, pets, praise, anything like that, so that she knows that's exactly where she needs to be. If she starts to go too far ahead of us, too far to the side, anything like that, we're going to use that leash with our prong collar or even the remote collar to give her little pops until she's back in that position. And then once she's there, letting her know, good heel. And then usually during a walk, we only have her in that position around 80 or 90% of the time. The other 10 or 20%, we have her in that free command. And that just means she's able to go sniff, do her business, anything like that. She's just still not able to offer any unwanted behaviors. So if she runs back to you and jumps up, we want to make sure that we're addressing that with our training equipment. Or if she's chewing on the leash, anything like that, we don't want her to do that. So we're going to break those habits with her training equipment. And then last, we have leave it. So whenever we're practicing this one, we definitely want to start with a dog safe treat or toy. That way, if she gets it, it's not going to hurt her. But we're going to start by tossing it away from her, telling her leave it, and then she'll go into a sit or a down position. As soon as she's in that position, we're going to reward her from our hand and then release her. And then if she's able to have that object on the floor, we're going to go over to it and tell her okay. That way she understands that she can pick it up. If it's not something she can have, we want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on her until we can pick it up. That way she can't go get that object and hurt herself. And then let's watch her do her commands out in public.
Good girl. Good. Sit. 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 Good. Sit. Good girl. You. Good girl, Daisy. You. There you go. Good. You. Sit. Good job. Tom. Good girl.
Good down. Down. Good down. Down. Good girl. Down. Good down. Down. Free. Good girl. Place. Good girl. Good place. Place. Good place. Yes, good girl. Good place. Good girl. Place. Good place. Good girl. Good place. Good girl. Good girl. Free. Good girl. Leave it. Good. Free. Good girl. Leave it. Good. Free. Okay. Leave it. Good girl. Free. Okay. Good job. Good girl, Daisy. Good job. That's so good. Let's go over some of the other features of the remote collar. So, as I mentioned, to turn it on and off, you'll find those red dots on the side of the remote and the collar. And to turn them on or off is the same way. So you'll touch them together, and then it'll flash red if it's off, or it'll flash green if it's on. And then that button for the remote is on the back. It's that L button in the back middle. Press and hold to turn it on, and then same thing, press and hold to turn it off. As soon as the screen shuts off, that means it is off. And then as soon as it lights up, it is on again. So there's a few different features of her collar. Up here is this dial. That's how you'll adjust her working level. So right now I have her on level 27, and she's been doing great on that for us. However, at home, things might be a little more exciting. Her adrenaline might be a little higher, so you might need to adjust it based on how she's doing at home. But once you have that level where you want it, to lock it into place, you'll press and hold that same dial at the top until it stops blinking or starts blinking to unlock it. And then, no matter if you turn it, it'll stay in place. And then the buttons on the side, there's this black T button that vibrates the collar. So I use this one to tell if the collar maybe died, or if I forgot to turn it on or not. You can just press that and it'll vibrate the collar. On the other side, you'll see that black S button. That's going to be your everyday button. So if she's ever offering that unwanted behavior, you'll use that black S button to communicate with her through that collar. And then that red S button is set to 25 levels above whatever the collar is at. So if her level is 27, it's going to go 25 up for there. And we use this one for emergencies only. So if there's maybe a squirrel, bird, car, something like that across the road, and it's a dangerous situation, and maybe they're not listening to that black button, we want to make sure that we're communicating with that higher one to match with the adrenaline. And then on the back right here, this on and off button, if you just press it, it functions as a flashlight for the collar. And if you press it the second time, it'll have that steady light. Third time turns it off. Next to it, there's a button that says M/C. That stands for momentary versus continuous. Now that we're further in our training, we only really use that momentary setting. And all that does is it sends just one little stimulation to the collar. Continuous has constant pressure until you release that button. So no matter how long you press and hold that black S button, if it's on that momentary setting, it just sends one little stimulation, and then that's all it is. And then it is waterproof, so if your dog's getting wet or anything like that, that's totally fine. I would just recommend rotating it on the neck. That way it's not rubbing in one specific spot or anything like that. And then it does have a 2-year warranty, so if you have any issues, that should cover it. And then both of their collars, I would recommend having on the first thing when they wake up, and then take off whenever you're leaving for the day or before bed at night. And what that does is that lets them get used to it, but then also with the remote collar, the more often it's on, the more we can communicate. So even if you're in the house, we want to make sure that we have the remote collar on. That way, if, say, they're coming over and jumping up on you, you can address it and not setting back any kind of training. And then same thing with the prong collar. Even if we're not using that leash in the house, we can always leave it on. That way they're getting used to having that collar on. Because sometimes what we notice is they'll learn that if the collar's on, I have to act perfect. And then if the collar's off, I can kind of mess around a little bit. So letting them wear their collars as much as possible will also help them get used to it. So that's what I would recommend, having them on as much as you can. But then if they're going in a crate or you're leaving for the day, taking them off. And then you are all set to have fun and stay consistent.